Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I got asked so many questions on living in Belgium and the Netherlands as a foreigner, so I decided to continue this series and provide some honest and detailed insights for you. In this video, I'll discuss some of the cultural shocks that I experienced in Belgium as a person from a non-European country, along with some little mistakes that I made in my everyday life and also in my professional, so work life. So you know and pay attention to these points and just don't put yourself into a ludicrous or humiliating situation in here. I want to divide these cultural experiences into two different environments. That is the everyday life, which I'll discuss in this video, and professional life in a workplace setting with colleagues and managers, which I'll discuss in the next video. It was too long, so I had to cut it. I hope it's okay for you. I one time had an experience with a plumber who came to my house to fix a clogged toilet, and I had to call my neighbor for help because we couldn't ever communicate in English. And it was up to the point where the plumber was communicating that the toilet motor has been broken, which I thought he said he just said we need to fix it with a new one, but I interpreted that as something is exploding. I don't know how I could think that, but yeah. So I panicked and I started grabbing all my stuff, ready to leave the apartment. And then my neighbor stepped in and he was like, "Okay, he just said it's broken. You need to chill." So then, yeah, I was a bit calmer. Just thinking back, it's hilarious, all these memories I had with people who didn't speak English. So yeah, as you can see from this experience, you can't solve all of your problems only speaking English here. Of course, there are cities where English language is common, mainly student-loaded cities such as Ghent, Leuven, Antwerp, Brussels. But bear in mind that you might still experience something like this with a plumber or a similar service provider, because this happened to me when I was living in Leuven, which is basically a really English active city. Moving on to the second point, although Belgium is a single country, it has three official languages: Dutch, French, and German, each spoken in different regions. And because of these linguistic divisions, communication between Belgians can sometimes be limited if each person just speaks the language of their own region. This is important to know because in many job applications, they will primarily look for the language spoken in their own region and then in Belgium overall. Third point is bureaucracy in Belgium, which is very serious. And I say this as a person who comes from a country where there's plenty of bureaucracy already. Still, I was really shocked by how slow and rigid things can get here. I one time had an experience with a bank fraud happen to me. And I wasn't even using a credit card, it was just a regular debit card. I one day noticed a huge chunk of money missing from my bank account, which means that someone was actively stealing my money basically. I panicked and I immediately called the bank's emergency number, expecting them to just block my card right away. But instead of blocking the card, they told me to go to the police station and file a report first. Like, which bank does this? It's still just unbelievable. I was literally on the phone begging them to stop my card while the fraud kept happening in real time in front of my eyes. The money kept deducting from my bank account while I was talking on the phone with a bank representative. So think about it. Eventually, I realized that no one was going to help me fast enough, so I transferred all the money I had to my friend's account that I really trusted, and then I was just left with zero money in the bank. In the end, it took me almost 3 months to get the stolen money back to my account, and during this time, I had to fill out endless forms. I had to visit the bank in person and also file a police report in order to get my money back. And as a foreigner, I could really feel that I wasn't treated in the same way, as in the same trust and urgency as a Belgian might have been. Um, and I think I still had the advantage of having a full-time job and a work permit here. I think this really helped me in my case, but I doubt that this would still be the case if I were, for instance, a student, which is a bit sad. As we discussed how the bureaucracy works here, then I shouldn't go without mentioning what happens if you just ignore one of the tiniest city rules in Belgium. Back when I lived in Brussels, I didn't recycle that much and I didn't really care about the bag that I used to recycle or throw my trash in because I lived in a residence where our trash was picked up by a private person instead of the city. So no one warned me and no one complained. So I thought I was doing just fine obeying the rules, throwing out my trash. But it turns out this wasn't the case. I moved to Leuven and the reality hit me. In Leuven, the city takes care of the waste collection and they take it very seriously. There, I learned that there are 4 different types of waste collection, and you're supposed to throw out your trash and in separate ways. So, separating these 4 different types of trash: the household waste, which is the food scraps, the cardboard, glass, and also recycling like the bottle, plastic, and such. And each one has its own color coded bag. So, for instance, blue is for recycling plastics, and black is for the food scraps, household waste. And I think the cardboard you can just throw out yourself, just getting the card boxes inside each other. And you can't also use any bag that you buy from the supermarket. It has to be the official Stadsleuven bag. They have their own colors, just like I mentioned. You have to buy these bags with the times 2 price of a regular supermarket bag. And there are also specific days assigned to each type of waste. So on Mondays, they only collect the recycling things, recycling bags. On Tuesdays, they collect the household waste. On Thursdays, they collect the cardboard and such. So you can't just throw your trash anytime you want. You have to obey the Stadtleuven schedule to throw out your trash. One time, I accidentally threw a household waste into a recycling bag, and I also threw my trash out 2 days earlier than the regular trash schedule of Stadtleuven. And guess what? 2 months later, I got a registered letter from the city, which was a fine including all the pictures of my trash and breakdown of what I did wrong. They were asking me to go to the court to defend myself if I didn't want to pay the fine, which was crazy. Like, just for trash, you're making me go to the court and pay a fine. There should be a law saying that, okay, if I make one mistake, then it should be it. You should give people chances to make some mistakes, you know. But yeah, eventually I paid the fine and it was okay. Yeah, so coming from a country where recycling is more like a nice thing to do instead of a law, this felt like irony to me. So keep in mind that you might need to go to the court even for the smallest things like throwing out your trash if you don't obey the rules here. So moving on to the 5th point, if you come from a culture where breakfast is a really big thing, like the full-on Turkish breakfast with the 10 plates and everything, then prepare for a downgrade in Belgium. Here, breakfast means a slice of bread and a cheese on top. And if you're lucky, you can get some jam on the side, and that's it. And don't get too excited about going to the brunch either, because most places will just serve you a croissant, scrambled eggs, and a bit of jam on the side if you're lucky. This is considered fancy here. So yeah, my dreams of sipping tea over a long, luxurious breakfast were not really fulfilled in Belgium. And 6th point is, just like any other European city, all the stores, including the grocery stores, everything is closed at 5 or 6 p.m. on weekdays. And all the stores will be closed on Sundays. So everywhere here will be silent and lonely after 5 on weekdays, except for the bars and nightclubs, if any. So prepare for a silent and lonely Belgium. Seventh point is the tipping culture. It basically does not exist here. You are not expected to tip in restaurants or cafes unless the service was exceptional. Even then, it's more like a nice thing to do than a social rule, I would say. And coming from a culture where tipping is standard, because my dad used to tip every time we went out, this felt like a little off to me. Because I was used to thinking not tipping was considered as rude to the waiters and the restaurant. So yeah, it took a time for me to get used to this culture. Eighth point is the way that people dress. If I have to describe it in one word, it would be casual. Don't expect to see people in skirts and dresses or in formal clothes, especially women, because biking everywhere is really common here, even in heavy weather conditions. So practicality is key. So if you're someone who loves to dress up, then you might feel a little bit overdressed just by walking down the street in Belgium. So this brings me to my ninth and final point, which is people here are very, very individualistic. So don't expect people to help you out if you're struggling in a store between two products or you just lost your way on the street. It's not that the Belgians are rude, but it's rather like it's not in the culture to get involved with other people's business. They just choose not to get involved. This is very different from what I experienced in Japan, where people would literally stop what they're doing, even if they're working, just to help you find your way or the store that you're looking for. In Belgium, you're just kind of expected to figure things out yourself. So, very individualistic people. Adjusting to a new country isn't easy, but it's definitely worth the experience. And if you're going through the same, just know that you're not alone. And please let me know in the comments section what other topics that you would like me to cover. I'd love to share more to help you feel at home and make your move abroad process a little bit smoother. And of course, if you subscribe and like the videos, then this makes me even more motivated to create content for you. And hopefully see you on the next video. Bye!